Welcome to another video, and I'm back playing Atlantean Runics in the Duelist Cup, and this deck is so good. The win rate I've been having with this deck is so absurdly high. I'm gonna show off right now why this deck's so strong. So Runick tip to start. We're gonna Runick Flashing Fire to make the Huggin. Huggin's gonna fetch the field spell, and then now the next one we activate, we're gonna triple Pot of Greed. We got Pot of Greed +3. So let's combo Deep Sea Diva, get Prince. We're gonna send Dragoons, add Dragoons, and now we're gonna take a peek at our opponent's hand. Dragoons is gonna search the Minstrel. Let's take a peek. Now we know what combos to do. See, this is why this deck's sweet. Alright, so our opponent has a very strong hand here. Super Poly and Feather Duster, Shiranui Solitaire, and Glow Up Bloom. Makes me think this is the zombie structure deck. So some sort of zombie deck. Probably going to be trying to mill stuff to the graveyard. And Ice Dragon's Prison, I'm not super worried about, but Super Poly can kind of erase whatever board we try and make. Feather Duster can pop the field spell, which will kind of get rid of our value engine. Also, we're going to make him discard randomly, and we don't want him to discard Glow Up Bloom, because if this card's sent to the graveyard, they can banish it and add a zombie monster directly to their hands. So we don't want that. So let's take away the Glow Up Bloom so that can't get sent to the graveyard. Now we're going to search here, get the Moulin Glacia, and now we're going to do a little wombo combo. Cupid Pitch, going to increase the level to level 6. Make them discard 2 cards at random. Get rid of that Feather Duster and the Ice Dragon's Prison, which means they still have the Super Poly and the Shiranui Solitaire. So that's a little awkward. The Super Poly is pretty good. Now what we're going to do here is Freezing Curses, make the Wolf. Nice little draw 3 here. Just a little bit of value, just a little bit of value with the draw 3. Make a Baron de Fleur. This will not be able to negate the Super Poly, but it's a pretty good monster. And we're going to make a Veritana Kana go into DPE. Now, Super Poly can hit the DPE, but we're going to do a little bit of trick here. We're going to bait our opponent. So we know about that Super Poly. So we're going to pass the opponent here, and in the standby phase, they get the Glow Up Bloom back. In the standby phase here, we're going to activate DPE. Now there's nothing on the field for us to pop, but Super Poly is really good against fusion monsters, especially dark fusion monsters. They probably don't have a way to use it with Baron, so that's why I activated the DPE. And now opponent thinks he's smart here. He's going to Super Poly in response using our monsters on field. And we still get the DPE's pop effect. So what's going to happen here is they're going to make the Dracosepelia. We're going to pop our own Moulin Glacia here. We already lost the next battle phase from these Runick spells, so that doesn't matter. And we're still in the standby phase. So we're going to negate with Baron on that Glow Up Bloom effect. So he's not going to get that search. We know his whole hand, except the one card he drew. And we can still activate Baron's effect to special summon. So Baron's back in the extra deck. We got our DPE back, although we can't use his pop effect again. Opponent drew a Unizombie. We're going to negate the effect with Freezing Curses. No Pot of Greed this time, just draw 1. I mean, is that even value? Replacing a card? I don't know. We got so much value before. I feel like we've lost out. But opponent has no other plays. The Unizombie's negated. Draw another Runick Tip. That's actually perfect here. Runick Tip is Secret Mode Pot of Greed. Prince is going to activate. We're going to add Poseidon to hand with Prince's effect. And with the Dragoons we sent to the graveyard, we get Lapis Dragon. And now we're going to Runick Tip to search for another Runick spell. Always make sure you do this, because we get some banish value and we get more draws. So that's how it's Pot of Greed. Get the Runick Fangs. Pot of Greed here. Draw 2. Another Pot of Greed for next turn. And we're going to make the Supreme Sovereign. Very nice. DPE. Going to activate, pop itself. And it's going to come back later. Now, I did make a mistake here, and you got to be real careful. When you hit end turn, if you were supposed to skip your battle phase, you won't have skipped the battle phase, so you'll have to skip your next battle phase. I gotta learn to go to battle phase even if it's getting skipped. Otherwise, you'll have to wait another turn. So that was a bit of a mistake here, but still learning. Gotta get that into my head. Opponent's gonna summon that Solitaire. We knew about that, and we're gonna activate DP in response because we're gonna banish a card from his graveyard and from his field. So what we're going to do, pop our Supreme Sovereign. In response, he banishes. And then once this monster gets summoned, before it even gets to activate, we get to banish a card from the field and graveyard. DP gonna come back later. Banish a card from field and graveyard. Opponent sets a card here. So that was probably not the best way to do that, but you know what? It was fun. We get the DP back. And I'm gonna try and pop this back row. Another mistake. It was a Rivalry of Warlords. Probably, I was not predicting that. That's gonna force us to send a monster to graveyard, so we're just gonna keep the DPE. Pop that. We already have to skip our battle phase, so it doesn't matter that we got no monsters here. There we go. Properly did it. Make sure to go to the battle phase, then skip it. GP versus the world here, but we do have another pot of greed. Opponent's just ending the turn. They got nothing. Let's summon the Denier. We're going to set this Atlantean Heavy Infantry. A little setup for the future. Pass back to the opponent. We could make a level 8 Synchro by normal summoning this Ash Blossom, potentially. Opponent has no more plays. We could make a level 8 Synchro, but the more fun line here, normal summon, Poseidon the Atlantean Dragon. We're going to get Poseidon lethal. This deck is so sweet. We got triple pot of greed in hand. Alright, at the end of the video, I'll show you the full deck list. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. But before we do that, let's go on to the next game. So a lot of people message in the comments and they say, how do you beat Runicks? What do I put in my deck to beat Runicks? And the answer is Runicks. You put in Runicks to beat Runicks. They're weak to themselves. Opponent playing a Fountain. They have one card in hand, one set back row. They have the Runick Allure, which is going to do some banishing, and they activate a Messenger of Peace. Monsters with 1500 attack or more cannot declare an attack. So that's some very rude setup there, opponent. We're going to try and play around it. Also activating a Gozen match. This is toxic. This is toxic behavior. We're going to show them how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! This is how you play Runicks. Let's just activate Fusion Destiny. We had it in hand. Activate the Fusion Destiny, make DP. We don't need to summon anything else this turn, and we're not going to be attacking this turn. We're going to be popping the field spell. And as predicted, opponent has the Runick Destruction in hand. Got to keep track of what we got. We got Freezing Curses and Golden Droplet. So none of these are the ones that banish spells. Opponent's going to activate to make the Huggin. Huggin's going to stop us from popping the field spell. That's okay. We predicted this. We anticipated this play. Opponent gets to draw a single card. They get to banish a card from our deck. But now opponent is going to have one card in hand. And on our standby, we can pop the field spell with the DPE again. So opponent, see if you can do it a second time. Let's special summon the Denier and attack our opponent because he's got less than 1500 attack points. And opponent making a pretty big mistake here. They had a Runick Slumber. They've already activated the Fountain this turn. And they're making the Moonin. That's a big mistake. That is a big mistake, opponent. Just to banish one additional card and stop our 1100 damage. I don't know, opponent. I don't know about that. Now they're top decking here. They got one card. Messenger of Peace making a pit. 100 life points. And we get to try again. And they got a monster in the extra monster zone, so they can't make another Huggin. Their Huggin is blocked. So we just activate the DP here. It does not target. DP gonna activate. Opponent gonna Flashing Fire in response. That does not matter. We got lots of stuff to pop on the field here. We're gonna pop the Golden Droplet and the field spell, and without the field spell, they're in big trouble. They are in huge trouble. DP gonna come back. They can't summon any more Runicks. Even if they could, they don't have any cards in hand. So we're gonna pop each of these back row pieces, get out from under this lock, and then start attacking our opponent for lethal. DP coming back. An opponent knows they're done for. They're conceding. So there you go. That is actually the only game I played versus Runicks, and that was a pretty easy clap. So don't worry about Runicks. Just pop the field spell. All right, let's go on to the next game. All right, this is a great hand. We got two Runicks. We got Diva and Prince. Let's start with the Runicks, and I have been playing this deck, and I've found you should start with the Runicks because you'd much rather have Deep Sea Diva resolve on its own rather than the Runick spells, because Diva is so strong. You know, you can do all sorts of combos with Diva. So let the Runicks get disrupted. If your opponent has disruption, they're going to use it on the Runick spells because they don't want you getting the field spell. They think you're playing pure Runicks, and pure Runicks really needs the field spell to be active, so they're going to be happy negating the field spell. We're gonna Maxi, Ash that Maxi there. Activate the Huggin. Discard a Prince. Don't look at that opponent. They have an effect Vealer to negate, but that's okay. That's what we wanted. Now we baited out two cards from our opponent's hand. Let's Deep Sea Diva. Gonna get the Prince here, and opponent has another card in hand. They have an Ash Blossom as well. So Diva gonna get ashed. Now, that's okay. You know what? We got 2 monsters on board. We go Verite DP. We even got the Freezing Curses, which will negate a monster effect. So let's DP here. Let's make our little poppin' guy. Pop each turn. Set in defense mode. See if opponent get through. We got negate. We got pop. And opponent has a evenly matched. That's a little awkward, but not much we can do. And conceding to the DPE. Alright, so there you go. I have no idea what my opponent's deck was. That was all interaction. No actual engine. Let's go on to the next game. Alright, now this is a real Runick heavy hand. And Runick heavy hands, usually what you want to do is set up the field spell and redraw. We are going second, and opponent is playing, this is hilarious what our opponent is doing here. They are playing anti-Runicks. All these Metaphys monsters have effects that activate if they're banished. And opponent is playing, opponent's deck, you can see this, they're playing a 60 card deck with all cards that trigger when they get banished. So opponent has been hurt. They have been hurt by someone playing Runicks. And this is what they've done. They're going to go into Baron the Fleur. They got this Metaphys Ragnarok. They got 1 set back row. And we're going to see what we can do. We got to play through this Baron negate. So let's get started. Opponent shuffling back into the deck and activating a Metaphys Dimension. So if our opponent, which is us, special summons a monster, target a banished Metaphys, special summon it, but banish it during the end phase. And then if another Metaphys card is banished while this is already in the field zone, you can target a card your opponent controls, banish it. So this is just deal with Runicks. This will banish the field spell. That's not ideal at all. So this is a really hard board to deal with because they got Baron negate going on. We're going to try our best here. I'm going to activate Runick Tip, search for the field spell, and we do have a negate in hand. So we're going to activate the field spell. Opponent's going to try and negate with Baron. We're going to activate Freezing Curses to negate the negate. And what I should have done here, I should have special summoned the Moonin, because Moonin has target protection. You go in here, Moonin. If this card special summon, blah blah blah. When your opponent activates effect that targets a Runick card, you can banish this card instead, negate the activation, and destroy that card. So that is what we should have done. But what I instead did was not that. We're gonna make them banish a bunch of cards, negate the Baron. Runick Fountain is gonna activate, but Metaphys is gonna pop it. Opponent's banish zone is just triggering, and I realized I made a huge mistake, and I'm gonna get out of here. So you know what? Sometimes your opponent just has, they have a deck built specifically for you, and you know what? Good on you, opponent. Can't blame you. You've been hurt, and we should move on. Let's go on to the next game. Alright, another all Runick hand, but you know, it doesn't always go badly. Opponent is playing Branded Fusion, and he saw in their graveyard there, if you were quick, they got Raw's Disciple. Idea of the Branded deck is they use a trap to special summon the Raw's Disciple to your field, and then you cannot special summon monsters. The Raw's Disciple's effect, you cannot special summon monsters except by his effect. So that is not ideal if they activate that and put that on our field. Looks like the opponent is not setting the trap though. They're just leaving the Mirror Jade. So let's get through this. And it's not hard to get through this with a handful of Runicks. Well, let's Runick Tip, get the field spell. Branded does not have a good way to deal with spells. That's a big weakness of the deck. We do accidentally activate their Despian Tragedy. Not ideal. Let's activate Runick Fountain and Flashing Fire pop the Mirror Jade. This gets rid of it, and we get to see a couple extra banished cards. Luber, Super Poly. But what we're going to want to do here is set up a DP, because our field is going to get destroyed at end of turn because of that Mirror Jade. So let's just do a little triple pot of greed here. Summon the Prince, get ourselves set up for next turn, set a DPE on the field so that, you know, we have some interaction during our opponent's turn. We got 3 Runick spells, including the Tip, which can search for any other Runick spell. And you know what? We'll be in a great position going forward. The really fun part about Runicks is because you lose your battle phase, the games have to be at least 3 turns. So you're always skipping your battle phase. And I know people complain about them being a bit grindy, but I kind of like the longer games. They're more interesting. You know, there's always a chance your opponent could come back. I don't know why my opponent is negating Predaplant Verte Anaconda. They probably just activated by mistake. Get a bit sweaty sometimes. You accidentally hit activate. Not going to blame him here. DP coming back. And let's pass the opponent. Now we set this Runick Destruction because I would have had to discard a card if I didn't set it. So that's why it's down there. Opponent adding some stuff to hand. Let's see what they can do. Let's activate Runick Tip in response. The reason we're doing that is because I want to search for a way to interact with our opponent, and we're going to do it in response to this Brand of Fusion. So we'll banish some cards. Might even stop our opponent's Brand of Fusion from working if we banish all their Alubers, but just hit a Brand of Retribution. More copies of Ra's Disciple. Is opponent planning to summon an Egyptian God card? They got the triple Ra's Disciple. Albion gonna activate the Fusion Summon. We're gonna negate, search for that Freezing Curses with our Runick Tip. Banish a lot of cards. We're banishing a lot of stuff now. Probably their only branded lost. Opponent is activating branded in red. Fusion Summoning. Making another Mirror Jade. Now that's okay. I learned my lesson last time. Do not activate first. If you're the first to activate, you get to win. And opponent, I don't know why, they just activated their Mirror Jade. They should have just attacked us. We're gonna activate in response. Pop the Mirror Jade. And now we're good. Opponent has a Polymerization. Maybe we are in trouble. Making a Masquerade. They're gonna special summon some stuff from the graveyard here. Activate that Edge and Chain. And we're gonna Smiting Storm. Now the reason I'm Smiting Storming here is because my plan is to summon a Wolf, and I see that they're about to summon Dramaturge. Dramaturge has an effect where if a Fusion, Synchro, XZ, or Link monster is special summoned, you can target an effect monster on the field and negate its effects. So if we wait till this Dramaturge is on the field to summon our Runick Wolf, they'll be able to negate it. We do not want that. So let's summon now. Get the Wolf. Opponent adding that Patchwork to hand. Special summoning that Dramaturge. And our life total is not that high, 5,400. Let's just do a little triple pot of grade here. We do draw into more Runick cards. Flashing Fire lets us pop a monster. So let's pop. Banish some more cards from our opponent's deck. They're going to re-summon that Masquerade. Attack into the Wolf. Wolf going to activate. Pop a monster on field. Pop that Dramaturge. Took no damage. Not bad. This Masquerade was not special summoned, not fusion summoned, so we're not taking any more burn damage. They summoned a Fallen Albaz. I'm not sure why they did that. Probably running out of materials to send to the extra deck. DP back on the field. We're going to special summon the Megalo. Activate the Dragoon's effect. Activate the Heavy Infantry effect. Pop that Masquerade. And we're in a great position now. Let's search for Moulin Glacia, because why not? 1, 2, 3, 4 water monsters in graveyard. We can send a 5th to the graveyard. Get our boy Poseidra. Dragoon's going to search for another Deep Sea Diva, and now we got 5 waters in graveyard. Let's summon the Moulin Glacia, make him discard that last card. Get him down to no cards. Tatsunoko plus the Poseidra in hand. Fusion summon into Cheying. In defense mode, we're going to lose our battle phase here. Let's pop that Aluber. And there we go, battle phase skipped. Now, I did make a bit of a mistake here. Well, maybe I did. Opponent activating Albion. Drawing a card and setting a card, and here's the mistake. I got greedy, I activated Golden Droplet, made him draw a card and banished a bunch of cards. I don't know why I did that. I just wanted a pot of greed. I couldn't resist. But that means we lose our next battle phase too. Let's pop their face down card. Despian Tragedy is going to activate. They're going to get a search. But it's their end phase, probably not going to matter. Adding that Aluber to hand. Now we could have won. If I just not activated that spell, that Runick spell, could have won right here. But we got to skip our battle phase. So that's okay. Let's just hold our hand. Pass to their turn. Opponent, what plays he got? They're going to activate in graveyard banish a card to set a branded spell on the field. That's going to trigger Supreme Sovereign, banish from field and graveyard. Going to banish the branded opening. Aluber going to activate, search for a Brand of Fusion. Activate, and we got Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom to negate. That's one Brand of Fusion, one on the field, and I think one... Do they have one left? They do. They do have one left, so... Oh no, they don't. All the Brand of Fusions are gone. So there you go. They got nothing left. Branded Retribution going to activate. Add a branded spell from their graveyard to hand. Maybe they're not done yet. Still got that Brand of Fusion, so let's close out this game. DP going to come back. This was a grind fest, by the way. I was sweating. I was close to timing out. All these effects giving me priority. I was running down to like 10 seconds. Let's normal summon the Minstrel. Make a Baron so we can negate anything. And let's close this out. Attack directly. 5,000 damage Supreme Sovereign with 20 cards banished. And that is lethal damage. Alright, what a game. Let's go on to the next one. Alright, Runick Tip gonna activate, get us the field spell. This is usually safer generally than making the Moonin. So let's activate the Fountain. Make the Gary the Runick Dog here. Do a little mini Pot of Greed. And Deep Sea Diva is gonna get comboing. Drawing that Deep Sea Diva is pretty sweet. Prince gonna send Dragoons, add Dragoons, and now we get to see what our opponent's hand is. Search for that Deep Sea Minstrel. Activate and take a peek. Our opponent is playing Salamangrates. So let's take one of their Salamangrate cards. This Grid Rod, not worried about that. Let's take that, banish it, activate the Dragoons. We're going to make them discard 2 cards at random. Let's special summon the Tatsunoko. Special summon the Mulan Glacia, make them discard 2 cards. There you go. And let's Synchro summon into the Deep Sea Prima Donna. Now they're getting back this Grid Rod at the end of turn anyway. So let's activate, give them the Grid Rod back early to special summon a Deep Sea Diva to the field. And now we're going to get to go into a level 10 Synchro and a second level 10 Synchro using Moonin, the level 2, and the Mulan Glacia. So we got Shaying on field and Baron de Fleur, and we got 2 Runick spells in hand along with a field spell, which means we're going to triple Pot of Greed next turn, plus an Ash Blossom. This is such a ridiculous start. Like, this is unbelievable. Pass to the opponent here. They're going to take one look at our board and just instantly scoop. And you know what? Can't blame your opponent. That was a ruthless takedown. Alright, let's do one more game. Alright, a bit of a bricky hand. We do have Runick Tip to clean things up. Opponent is playing Brand of Fusion with Gimmick Puppet. A lot of these branded decks now playing lock pieces that they can summon to your field. Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is another one. If it's special summon, you can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn. So I think Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is probably the weakest of the lock pieces, but because it only lasts for 1 turn. But you know, we'll see. I've been hit by the lock a few times, and every time I've gotten out of it. So I don't think it's actually that strong. You have to give up so much of your field. Opponent sent a card. Alright, it looks like they're going to go for it. Another pro tip here: make sure to toggle on, because we have the ability to pop this Branded Expulsion or the Mirror Jade during our opponent's standby phase. So if we activate Runick Tip and search, you know, potentially we could pop this before they activate the trap, and then they'd stop this summon effect from working. So I didn't toggle on, so I couldn't do it. See, we drew the Flashing Fire here. We could have popped that Mirror Jade, but not able to do it. It's alright though. Opponent giving us this Puppet Nightmare, summoning an Edgem Chain. We are locked out of special summoning, but we can still Runick. Let's get the field spell. Banish some cards here. Field spell gonna let us do a nice little Pot of Greed. Let's banish a card from our opponent's deck. Pot of Greed. Fix our hand a little bit. Now we can't special summon, but on our opponent's turn we can activate these Runick spells from hand with the field spell. Opponent going for a Super Poly, or a regular Poly, sorry. Making a Masquerade. I was worried that they were gonna make the Chimera and try and pop the field spell, but we could play around that. Masquerade is here to make us pay life points. And the Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is not doing anything anymore. opponent, adding it right for Patchwork to hand. Now we have a special summon monster pop and a monster negate, so let's take some damage here. Activate, pop the Mirror Jade, and end the turn here with a nice little Pot of Greed. An opponent does not want to see any more. They are done. They know the value is too high. Alright, let's go onto the deck list. Alright, here is the full deck list. Now, I've been playing this deck for a few days, and I'm just loving it. The games are so fun. The combos feel so open-ended. The Runick spells, you know, they let you keep drawing. They let you play on your opponent's turn a little bit of interaction. Along with that, repeated Pot of Greed action just feels so good. And only one Runick Fountain. This has never been a problem. I've never wished for a second Runick Fountain. It's so easy to search for. You got triple Runick Tip in the deck, and then every other Runick spell can summon the Huggin to get the field spell. You're not going to be having a hard time getting this. You know, 2 field spells is cloggy. I think 1 field spell is the way to go. All right, just going through the Runick package. If you don't have triple Tip, or you know you want to build a more budget version of this deck, you can just throw any other Runick spells in here. You could throw triple Smiting Storm, triple Slumber. You know, because we're using these to summon the monsters. We're not really using them that often for their, you know, effects, their other effects. So it doesn't really matter what their other effect is. If I were to give a piece of advice, I would say play the Runick spells that don't care about really what's on the field. Like this Runick Slumber that just targets a monster and prevents it from being destroyed. You'll be able to activate this and Pot of Greed even if your opponent doesn't have anything to pop. So if you're building a budget version of this list, just go 1 field spell, triple Runick Slumber, triple Smiting Storm, and don't worry as much about the Runick Tips. In the extra deck, you will need 1 Huggin. If you want to combo Moon and the Runick Wings, also useful to have. 2 Doggos is pretty good. I think the Doggo is the best one after the Huggin. And we also got DP, Super Value Town, Tatsunoko, Cupid Pitch due to the combo you saw at the beginning of the video. The Cupid Pitch combo is just so hilarious. I think it's worth putting in. Deep Sea Prima Donna, excellent with the Runick banishing everything. White Aura Whale, one day I'll summon you. Emancipator Risen Dragite to negate spell effects. Baron de Fleur, Supreme Sovereign, Abyss Dweller. This is if you have Dragoons. You normal summon Dragoons. You make the level 4 Runick. You XC, activate Abyss Dweller, detach Dragoons, search. Pretty sweet deal. Abyss Lacia, just there to be a sweet monster. And the Verte. Alright, hope you liked the video, and I'll see you next time. Have a good night.